Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Sacred Visibility Catalyst and best-selling publisher Linda Joy. I don't know about you, but I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years now, and I identify as an introvert. Well, an ambivert, but I have strong introvert tendencies. And for many years, I didn't know how to use those gifts. I didn't understand how to navigate my business, bringing the truth of who I am into my business, because I had never learned that there was such a thing as introverts and ambiverts and extroverts. And I got to tell you, I really struggled in my business that first decade. So I am super excited to bring a dear friend to you today. And you will really relate to this conversation if you're an entrepreneur and if you identify as an introvert or have been questioning if you are an introvert. So in today's conversation with Jen Jones, we'll talk about growing your business by knowing your introverted self, building and nurturing joyful relationships, identifying your introvert gifts, and why it's important to go deep, not wide, and how to network and connect with intention and so much more. Jen is a captivating speaker, successful entrepreneur, and the author of the bestseller, Intropreneur, Strategies to Build Your Business as an Introverted Entrepreneur. She has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, both as an owner of a boutique real estate agency and as a business coach and consultant. She has successfully scaled her business by building deep, meaningful relationships with her clients that inspire repeat business and referrals. And Jen loves guiding her clients through the 4-step process to harness their introverted self, have more energy awareness so they can align their business and life with meaningful connections, so they can elevate relationships, which of course produce more referral and repeat business with the right people. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat Intropreneur.
Yes, and you and I, we're really drawn to each other. You have a beautiful community, and I love hanging in there. I love witnessing you walk the walk around your book's message, right? Because you're beautiful about bringing community together and building relationships. And I've been blessed to be part of that circle and have you come into my circles. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, first off, what is some of the introvert gifts that entrepreneurs have?
Wow. So I will grab just 3, but there are plenty more. And one of them is being great listeners. And when I say great listeners, it goes beyond active listening. It's also being prepared to ask questions and also answer questions so that you can engage and build deep, meaningful relationships. So that's one. And then the other one is calm in the storm. So it's funny because I don't necessarily see that in myself, but I keep hearing it from other people. Even just last week, you're so calm. I'm so anxiety ridden, and I'm able to calm people down in situations, which has been a huge gift of mine that I've used and not really realized until someone pointed it out. So I always say to the people reading the book or any introverted entrepreneur is sometimes we have to ask our close friends and family what they see as our gifts, because sometimes we're not aware of the gifts that we truly have. And then lastly, I'll highlight one of my favorite gifts, and I think it's overlooked on so many occasions, and that is leader, and team player. And I kept them as one gift because they can come individually or they can actually come as a pair. So when I say that, you can also be a leader and a team player in a group. You can be both if you're, in a community, in person. There are many opportunities where introverts, because they are good listeners and they want everyone to be heard, they make amazing leaders because they're able to bring forth people's own gifts, including, which not everyone is aware of, we are good speakers if we put our mind to it and we're ready to talk about something that we have dove deeply into. We could talk all day long for, so we can be great speakers. And I think it's just a shift in our beliefs that make that change, that we are good, listeners, but we're also good speakers.
Those are great gifts that you just shared. How did you, when was the pivotal moment that you discovered and owned the fact that you were an introvert? Was it a moment? Was it an awakening? Was it an aha moment?
It was a process. I need to be hit over the head a few times. So I have always, from, I don't know, last decade or two, have always said, oh, I'm an ambivert. And I'm not saying that that's not a identifier, but like you said at the beginning, ambiverts have the tendency of an introvert. So if we just broke it down into the simplest terms, introvert means that you go inward to get your energy alone. You're alone getting your energy, where extroverts go outwardly, like go to a party or hang out with their friends, and that's how they get their energy. And as an ambivert, it's really you're an introvert that has learned the social skills that you need to, move your business forward and, move your life forward. So being an ambivert has just been something that I've just identified with because God forbid if I identify as an introvert, I felt like that was it was weak. The definition, if you look up the definition, it portrays an introvert as a weak soul. And I was like, well, I'm not that person. But as I got further into it, and I didn't realize it until people said to me in 2019, so not very long ago, people were saying to me, hey, I see you everywhere. Oh my gosh, like, how do you do it? I can, especially evening ones. Oh, I just wanted to stay home once I got back from work or doing whatever they were doing. They didn't want to go back out. And so after hearing this and, oh, I hate networking. Oh, I'm not a people person. I'm not like, everybody else. It took me a few months to realize that the people that were talking to me were introverts. And then it gave me the opportunity to actually look at myself and say, I've been identifying as an ambivert, but really I am just an introvert that has built the skills over the last 2 decades to go out there and network and also build the relationships that I've needed to build in friendships, business relationships, clients, all those things. So it actually took me a long time. I want to say like a few months to realize that I'm actually an introvert and it feels good to be able to identify as that. And also just a, myth buster, not all introverts are shy. And I think that a lot of people, including myself, when we think of introverts, we're like, oh, well, I'm not an introvert, I'm not shy. But that's just one aspect of it. That's not the whole picture. So I mean, it's not that long ago. What, 3 years ago? Not even. It was August of 2019 that I started to really realize what was going on.
That's beautiful. I love your descriptions. And yeah, for me, a lot of people meet me over the last 3 decades of being an entrepreneur, and especially I used to produce large women's events. They always assumed I was an extrovert, right? Because you're out there, Linda, you hold these big containers. And I'm like, no. Back then, I always identified Jen as an introvert, right? And then I came to the fact of, wait a minute, I'm an introvert. I need lots of alone time. To give you an example, Jen, my family calls me the hermit. Did you leave the house this week? I'm like, I put about 30 miles a week on my vehicle. My lease company loves me. So I need that alone time and that grounding time. The ambivert, when I, owned it, was one of my sacred spiritual gifts is being able to be a cultivator of community and hold energetic space without draining myself. That's the big difference for large projects, etc. And that's when I finally saw that I was an ambivert, but like you said at the beginning, strong introvert needs. So did you notice as you were, diving into your truth and you started to look around that you were attracting a lot of entrepreneurs that identify as an introvert?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was part of it, was that they were pushing themselves to go out and network. And I use networking because that's where I've met a lot of these people. And, they're the ones who have come to me to say, like, oh, I don't know how you do it. Because they wanted to know, and they just assumed that I was an extrovert. And so when I'm able to say, no, like, I'm an introvert too, they're like, no, they can't believe it. But it's because that like you said, being able to hold space for people and also hold space for yourself, for the energy, because I do get depleted if I'm not aligned, which I am slowly learning. This is a work in progress these days, but it was really the energy piece that got me really thinking about, everyone is so different, even though we're saying introverts, like everyone's energy tank gets filled differently and depletes differently. And really diving deep into what that looks like for yourself and identifying it's a game changer.
Oh, I completely agree because I lived on that spectrum 30 years ago of complete exhaustion, overwhelm, pushing, striving in my first business for 10 years. And of course, I didn't have any of this language. We didn't know talk about stuff like energy and introverts and ambiverts. I just thought I was wired that way. And it wasn't until I got on the spiritual path 20 years ago that and started knowing about energy and intention and started living from that space that I said, oh, business does not have to be overwhelming, all that. Those are based on the choices I'm making with my energy that are leading to overwhelm. It isn't anything from the outside. And I'm curious if you've noticed this. It's not the outside responsibilities and tasks that are causing overwhelm. It's our choices and our lack of energetic boundaries that cause our overwhelm. Have you discovered that too?
Yes, a great boundaries are a great one, that we don't necessarily think about when we think of being drained of energy. And that has come up for me in the last year, like being able to set boundaries for other people to make sure that you're not compromising yourself. And I also say boundaries in the fact that, boundaries in our thoughts and how we're thinking, that can drain our energy. And it's just not physical stuff. It's not mental stuff. It is mental stuff as we talk about, our thoughts. And, I just recently realized how much external validation I've needed in my life. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't I don't need this. And it was just so, I don't want to say simple to let go of that, but that's my theme for 2022 is let go and trust myself. And that was a big one. And I felt like that was a boundary for me that I didn't have a boundary. I was just, no, external validation. If other people think I'm good, then I must be good. And that can drain your energy if you're always thinking that you're not good enough.
Exactly. And we're going to take a break, Jen. And when we come back, I want to talk more about this energy awareness and why it's so important, especially as an introvert, to be aware of our energy, what fills us up and what drains us. So we'll be back in a moment. I'm with Jen Jones. You can learn more at connectandelevate.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration Partners. Claim your Aspire magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I am with Jen Jones today, author of Intropreneur, Strategies to Build Your Business as an Introverted Entrepreneur. So Jen, right before the break, you were talking about energy and having the awareness. And I love that you said it's about mindset, it's about our thoughts, it's about energetic boundaries, emotional boundaries, time boundaries, it's all of it. Why is it especially important for introverts to be aware of their energy and where it may be leaking?
Yeah, so it's a huge piece of, how we function. It's one of those things that you may overlook. And if you don't have the awareness, you might not even know. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, like these two ladies are talking about exactly what I need right now. And so when we talk about energy and introverts, it's because people in general will drain our battery. It takes a lot for us to interact sometimes. And this is very degrees, because we do have what I call there are 4 different types of introversion. And, I definitely did not come up with this, but it's social introversion, thinking, anxiety, or anxious. And the fourth one is, I'm losing the train of thought, begins with an R. So there's a fourth one, and it's really just someone that sits back and isn't super engaged. But I think that if you can identify your introversion type, you would be able to really take a look at your energy. For instance, thinking. I'll use that one as an example because it seems like I always attract thinking introverts. And when we're alone and we can learn, whether it's YouTube or an online course, or we can dive in and just get deep in the material, we're able to keep all that information and then be able to help others with it. But if we are not confident in helping others with the information that we have, we could be draining our battery. I mean, I look at my little guy. This is not even business related. I look at my little guy and he is on the go all the time. And I'm just like, can you just sit for a minute? Because just having him around drains my energy. So there's different things in our life that can easily drain our energy, and we have to be super aware of it, because if we're not, then we're going to be, doing all the things. I was just talking to someone earlier, and we were talking about the shiny object syndrome for introvert entrepreneurs. And a lot of coaches that I have spoken to, they're like, oh, I'm an extrovert and I attract all the introverts, to my practice. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, because a lot of introverts want to do what you're doing because they see that you're having success. But once they get into the program, they're like, oh, this isn't aligning with with me, and they don't know how to pinpoint it. All they know is they're exhausted, they don't want to do it, they dread doing it. And so being able to be aware of your energy will actually help you grow and learn and stay at what I'll call thriving, because when you're able to stay at thriving, amazing things happen.
Oh, yeah. And it just feels, when you're in that energy of thriving, it's more of a flow, right? It's not a pushing, it's not a striving. It's just a much more peaceful energy and place to be, isn't it? Especially as a business owner.
Absolutely.
So, why do you think so many introverts overlook their sacred gifts? Are they unaware of them, or is there something that's blocking them?
That's a really good question. And I think that it could be a combination of both. But but we can talk about the blocks is that, well, sorry, let's back up, is that the awareness. They may not even know. So I did a talk last January about introverted gifts, and I was actually moved and amazed at the comments that were coming through. Some of them, like, and I wrote, have them in the book too, is, I didn't even know that was a gift. I saw that as a weakness. And I think that when we're not paying attention, and our society runs on masculine energy, it runs on, extroverted, you have to be an extrovert to succeed. I was in a Facebook group that said, why do you think introverts don't succeed? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, it came from someone that I didn't know, and I didn't bother to comment just because of the other comments. But I think when you're aware that you're an introvert, you will decide consciously to do things differently by using your introverted gifts, going deeper in those relationships. And so that right there just fills you up, being able to have those deep relationships with people. And typically I say we introverts have, just a handful of, close friends, and that could give you energy. So just that part right there is, awareness of your introverted gifts. I think people just either they don't want to know, or they just haven't paid attention because they're just on the, the hustling grind wheel, that they just keep going and trying to follow the people that they deem as successful. And I do think that there's blocks there too, is that, and it might not be consciously either, that as, an introvert, I can't be successful, and when I say successful, that's, whatever you define that as. And if you're defining it as an external thing, then maybe that's something that you need to really look at, because in my mind, once you decide that your success is your success without having the, external world tell you what that should be, makes life a whole lot better.
No, everything you're speaking about really speaks to me in my own journey. Something you said too about the masculine. Aspire is 16 years old, as you know, Jen. Back in like 2009, I call it she was 3 years old, and it was print, regional, all through New England. And I came to a crisis point, and it's a crisis point that I believe a lot of introverts come to when they're about to awaken to their true nature. And for me, I couldn't fit in, my soul couldn't fit into the masculine marketing and publishing model that was prevalent at that time, but I couldn't use that language then, Jen. Does that make sense? It was a knowing.
Right.
And I was about to walk away from Aspire. I was going to call all the advertisers Labor Day weekend, 2009, and close down Aspire. I just could no longer do something that was the antithesis of who I was. But that's the day I downloaded the 5 feminine success principles. And intention is number one. I've been teaching intentional business and intentional living since 2009, but it was intention, relationships, collaboration, service, and now I'm going blank now, authenticity. It changed my life. But it's kind of like what you've been talking about, was that moment of, this is who I am. I didn't use the word introvert back then because we didn't really talk about that stuff back then. But that was my moment of knowing that I needed to do things that aligned with me, no matter what outside people were doing or telling me I should do. So you shared such a powerful point for entrepreneurs that you have to find your truth, your path, and go from what's inside you, not what others are doing. And I think a lot of introverts suffer, as I did, because they're like, but if she's doing this, I'll do that. But it might not align with the truth of who you are. Is that what you found, Jen?
Yeah. And, it's interesting because I last year had been in what we'll call a void for quite a while. And I was just like, oh, the universe, it was just going to come up and show me what's next. And just, I doubted and I didn't trust myself. And so coming into this year, being more authentic and trusting myself, I want everyone to feel that feeling, because it is pretty amazing when you can honestly say, I trust myself and I'm aligned with who I am inside. And it has nothing to do with the people outside of me. And that's a pretty amazing space to be in.
Oh, it is. It's for me, I just notice I'm so much more grounded, peaceful, and aligned with every decision because I'm coming from my truth. And I love to block out the outside noise. You know what I mean? It's how I stay committed to my truth, to my mission. So we're going to take our next break. We want to when we come back, Jen, I want to talk about the process you use to help introverted entrepreneurs avoid burnout, because you and I both know what it can cost us when we don't have, a support system around us. So we'll be back in a moment. I'm with Jen Jones, speaker, entrepreneur, and the author of the bestseller, Intropreneur, Strategies to Build Your Business as an Introverted Entrepreneur. Learn more at connectandelevate.com. We'll be back in a second.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you struggling to grow your mission-driven business in a way that feeds your soul and fulfills your purpose? When you discover your unique human design and divine blueprint, you'll feel empowered in your business, aligned with your inner wisdom, and open to the flow of abundance and success. Nancy O'Keefe is a certified human design specialist and intuitive business coach, successfully coaching entrepreneurs for over 25 years. She is passionate about helping you understand your divine design and your personal formula for success. She knows what it takes after creating her own multi-7-figure firm. Nancy helps women peel back the layers of who they've been taught to be to reveal who they truly are, so they can build an abundant and sustainable business that feeds their soul. Schedule your complimentary call today at nancyokeefecoaching.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Me, a cat moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I am loving this conversation with my special guest today and friend, Jen Jones. So we're talking all about being an introverted entrepreneur, understanding why energy awareness is so important. And Jen, I'd love to go into the process you use to help your clients, introverted entrepreneurs, avoid burnout.
Absolutely. And if I can start with a quick story,
Of
and
course.
it's just recent and I feel led to share it, although it hasn't come fully into my awareness, but it's here and I want to start talking about it. I wrote this book in 2021 and it was released in 2022, and it was about my process. And I, for some nagging inside of me, was like, ah, section one, it doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel complete. And I'm like, well, Jen, you got to put it out into the, I thought it was more me afraid of putting it out into the world. And so I let it go. I rewrote several chapters of other sections of the book and felt really confident in everything that I wrote. In that first section, which I find funny that it's named Aligning with Your Introverted Self, because when I thought about it yesterday, this just happened. When I thought about it yesterday, I was like, oh, you know what? That's what it is. I'm missing a piece. And human design has come into my field over the last 4 years. And last year it came in, but it slowly, faded out. And it came back into my awareness about 30 days ago or so. And I really started looking at it and looking at my own design as a 3-5 manifester. And I'm like, I'm not here to wait for people. I'm here to inform them and just go. I'm a leader. And to be able to, I don't want to say take the bull by the horns because it sounds so masculine, but in in all, it's like I decided that when I'm in alignment with myself and aligned with my introverted self, I'm here to teach other people. So the first section of my book, which is also the first part of this four-part process, is I'm going to go deeper with my clients than I have ever done before because I've gone deeper for myself. And I think it will be super beneficial for them to really get aligned with themselves. And you were talking the exact same language about how you were getting aligned with, everything that you do. It kind of goes through this process. And so the first part one is aligning with your introverted self, and that's where we look at your authentic self. How do you how are you interacting with yourself and with others, and is it influenced by the society? Are there things in society that are saying like you're not successful because you're an introvert? It also goes over the gifts, and we already sort of talked about that. And then the energy piece, which we definitely dove in deep, but that is where we really can dive in and say like what drains us. And what I realize is that if we're not in alignment, we're just being drained. And so when we're able to actually evaluate where we are in ourselves, and if we are truly being authentic, our energy is not going to get drained like it used to. We're not going to burn out like we used to because our awareness is there and we are moving forward in such alignment that we feel that peace that you were talking about. So for me, it's like a calmness and it's a grounding. So once you're in this space of being able to feel grounded, you're in the right spot. And then the third one is growing your business. So this is where I talk about quality over quantity. And it's taken a look at the business that you've built so far. Or if you're new in business, it's who can you bring along to the journey? And it's looking at who are your biggest fans? Who are the people that would, shout from the top of the mountain and say, Jen Jones is amazing. You need to work with her. And it's a place where those people, no matter what, would support you. but it's a win-win-win. So it's, not just, oh, well, I give you referrals, you give me referrals. It's not having any expectation on your community. And it's really diving into those deeper, meaningful relationships. And then part of that is I'm giggling over here because I spoke yesterday about follow-up, because even myself, sometimes I'm so bad at follow-up. And I even have a system that I go through to make sure that, we're not missing people and the follow-up is happening. And then the fourth is really looking at the relationship referral strategy. And that is getting comfortable with ourselves so that we can shine our light. And if we're not confident, our light is going to be dim. And in order to be confident, you really need to be aligned. So it's this, I felt like it was a linear process. And now I realize it's a circular process. And that is the vision that I have for the aligned intrapreneur, is that this is a circle. This is, you're not going to go from one step, have it completely mastered and go to the next step. This is a process that you're going to continue to go through, which I have been doing for the last 2 decades. This process that you're going to go through over and over again, because we're always learning, we're always evolving, and we're always getting better. And that feeling is like the truth bumps, right? It's like, wow, like, yeah, it's not linear. It's a circle, and you're going to continue to grow when you are authentic, when you have energy awareness, when you're growing your business on, the quality relationships, and you're being confident in shining your light. You're just going to continue that process. And that just gets me really excited.
I can hear it in your voice, and it really speaks to me too, because we have a lot of the same principles of how we love to navigate life. You know what I mean? And I think that it's such a more peaceful place for an introvert to be in business. So like, I'm so excited for you about putting your best-selling book out, but I'm even more excited for those who are going to pick it up and read it and implement the processes and the tools and take in the insights that you share, because I truly believe, just because I've been serving this community of tens of thousands of women, there are so many introverts, especially entrepreneurs, who don't know there's another way, right? And you and I are there to say, there is another way. And I think your book is truly needed in these times, because energetically we get so overwhelmed when we're living outside of ourselves. And so I want to share the name of your book again. It's called Intropreneur, Strategies to Build Your Business as an Introverted Entrepreneur. Be sure to grab a copy. You can also learn more about Jen at connectandelevate.com. So Jen, I love what you just shared, the steps, but you're also, like, I call the networking queen, right? So share some of your top 5 tips for networking and connecting with intention.
Well, I mean, there you go, intention. So part of actually one of your seasons for the Inspired Living giveaway, it was my first one, and it was called Be Intentional When Networking and Connecting. And it since, has evolved into something else, but intentions are so important. So here are my 5 tips for networking as an introverted entrepreneur. One is, what is your intention for networking, whether it's in person or online? Are you there just to get clients? Are you there to push, or are you there to build relationships? So just, check your intentions. And when you do that, it really shifts your energy. And then 2 is when you can visualize the best possible experience that you can have as an introvert entrepreneur going into online or in-person Zoom, and you can visualize meeting that one person that you can have a conversation with and be able to then 3 follow up with. Don't forget your follow-up. That's so important when you're networking, because if you decide to go back to that event or that group, you want to make sure that if you told someone that, oh, I had that book recommendation, I'll send it to you, or just, sending them a personal note. It was great chatting with you. I hope we can do it again. Just so important to be able to follow up with people. And then always be on the lookout for referrals. And when I say that, it's not for you to give a referral for yourself. It's that you have a group, a circle of business women, men, other people in your circle that have businesses. So just always be on the lookout for any matchmaking that you can do, because people are always looking for, for example, a copywriter. Oh my gosh, like I have someone, let me refer you. So just always be on the lookout for giving the referrals, not necessarily you giving your own referral, but someone else out of your circle. And then finally, always be on the lookout for other people that you can collaborate with. And when you're able to do that, you're borrowing other people's audiences. But the bottom line is those audiences are getting value. So you probably compliment the other person. So I'm going to use copywriter because I'm on that role right now. You have a copywriter, but you have but they don't do landing pages. And you have another person who does websites and landing pages. What a great opportunity to collaborate and put a project together because they complement each other. So those are my 5 tips for networking.
I love them. And I love, and I've been a part of knowing you walk the walk, because you and I have played together, and you have just generously referred women to projects of mine. I've referred women to your networking circles, which I love, by the way. And it is about that. And I've met so many of the amazing women who are your biggest cheerleaders. So everything that you just shared, I've witnessed in your business and witnessed in your community. So you're such the book, I'm sure you've read it, The Go-Giver.
Yes.
I think a mentor gave that to me a decade ago. And I just said this, it just energetically spoke to my heart, spoke to my soul. And that's who I've always seen you as, it's just organic to who you are. So yeah, you're a go-giver, girl.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny that you bring that up, because someone said the exact same thing yesterday in an in-person event I was able to attend, and I brought bath bombs, and it was like, hope your spring is the bomb, because, we like to have little taglines. And she said, because it's been a while since we've been together. And she said, that is the one thing that I remember you by. The first time I met you, you had given me a little something, and I thought that was pretty unique and thoughtful. And that was really touching for me, because that person that said that, I didn't even think she was paying attention. So it was really nice to hear that people appreciate it, and looking forward to doing more of that in person.
I am too. We're going to take our final break, Jen, and we'll be back in a moment. I'm with Jen Jones. Learn more at connectandelevate.com.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
It's time to begin the adventure of a lifetime by nurturing the most important relationship you will ever have, the relationship with yourself. Kelly Grimes, self-nurturing expert, speaker, and author of the bestseller, The Art of Self-Nurturing, a field guide to living with more peace, joy, and meaning, shares that a self-nurturing practice is not about being perfect or completing another thing on your to-do list, but rather nurturing a relationship with yourself. In The Art of Self-Nurturing, you'll discover the inspiration, examples, reflective questions, and self-nurturing practices that will empower you to become the artist of your own life and see self-nurturing as an art form. Rather than living from obligation and overwhelm, you will learn to cultivate a life filled with self-compassion and self-love. Order your copy today at artofselfnurturingbook.com and receive the Self-Nurturing Starter Kit as a supportive gift.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I am with the one and only Jen Jones. So, Jen, you have beautiful communities you set up. I'd love for you to tell women about some of the networking events that you're part of that you put on and how they can learn more about it. So I know there are a bunch of introverted entrepreneurs right now listening to this conversation going, where can I go? So I invite you to share a couple URLs or anything else you'd like to share.
Yes, so I actually don't have a specific URL, but you can find Connect and Elevate on Facebook. It is a free Facebook community, and that is where we host events. Right now, we're doing quarterly events as we are moving into 2022, although it's already, we're already into it. So we'll be doing more of those events where we're bringing people together, and they're masterminds. They're, share your challenges, get feedback from other women entrepreneurs, and then just know that this isn't a room of 20 people. We do try to keep it to 10 to 12 because as introverts, if we want to open up, we really don't want to do that in a large group. It makes it a little bit more difficult. And so we do keep them small enough so that you can come in and really feel comfortable.
Is that the mastermind part that you keep small, you mean?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect.
And in the Facebook group itself, we do have, lots of engaging posts and the ability to even promote your business if you have one. And so that's an opportunity to just come in and meet people online, quote unquote, online. And then you never know who is looking for something or who you can collaborate with. So I just encourage you to hop into the Connect and Elevate Facebook group.
Oh, I invite you ladies to do so because it's such a beautiful community. So Jen, what is coming up next for you? The book is out. I know you have a vision and you've been bringing together so many beautiful souls to support them in growing their business and embracing their introvert energy. Do you have any exciting projects other than what you already beautifully described?
Yeah, so we have the book study that we're going to do a second round. So we're going to open that up the end of April. And if you are local to Massachusetts or New England, I am working on a retreat in August that I am really excited about to bring together, like again, a small group of introverted entrepreneurs where we can get together. We're going to do some energy work. We're going to do some work. We're going to really dive into our authentic self and really into our energy so that we're the best version of ourselves as we move into planning our business for the fall. And so I'm super excited about doing that here in New England. It's actually going to be in Connecticut in August. I haven't finalized the date, but if you're in the area, I'd love to have you join us. And then I also offer VIP days for people who want to dive deep into one of the 4 parts of the framework that I teach.
And they can learn more about that at connectandelevate.com, correct?
Yes.
So Jen, if we have an entrepreneur, introverted, who has been struggling, what's the first step you would guide her on?
If someone's struggling right now in their business, whether it's because they don't have the clients that they need to keep moving forward, I would say find me, but really look at where can you go for help and have a conversation with other introverted entrepreneurs. That is something that I tell people all the time is that, you're not going to do this alone. Find your people and take a good look at how you're running your business right now. And does it even feel good? I had to do that for myself. Like, does it feel good, or am I just doing it because I'm supposed to be doing it? And if that's the case, then, you're going to run yourself ragged, and then eventually you're just going to, throw in the towel. And I don't want people to do that. Most women that I know go into business because they want to help people. And so reach out and ask for help. So that's my advice. Reach out and ask for help.
That's such a big one. And something else that you just talked about, if it doesn't feel good, let it go. And I think so many of us, introverts or not, we hold on to shoulds and have tos instead of joy and passion, and allowing those two things to lead the way. Have you found that too? That we cause a lot of our struggle because we have this false message and script running going, but we have to do that, and we should do that because everyone else is. But it drains us because it's not who we are. Is that a pattern you see too?
It is a pattern I see, and it's a pattern I've seen in myself recently. So it's been eye-opening to say, that's my second theme is let it go and trust yourself in 2022. So it's funny that you bring that up, but that's absolutely true. The shoulds, the have tos, the pushing, let it go and move into a space that feels really good. And sometimes it's more about, what does that even feel like? What does joy feel like? What does that peace feel like? And until you can figure out what that is, which I had a really hard time doing in the recent year, once I was able to, just that calmness and grounding happened that I'm in total amazement with.
When you finally do the inner work to be able to identify what gives you joy, it changes everything. And like you, and I think it's an evolution. Like, I know what gives me joy, but sometimes I forget, or life changes, and then I have to review everything again, right?
Right.
And one of the things I always share with all entrepreneurs, but especially introverted, is just look at your daily tasks. Stop there. What are you doing every day in your business? And watch the energy you feel as you're doing them. Because that energy is where the clues lie, right? So that's when I start to identify, like, oh, I can't stand doing whatever it may be. If I could feel it in my body, I would tense up just seeing it on my to-do list, right? And I go, then why are you doing that, Lynn? Why not delegate that to someone who would love to have the business, to have the work? And is that kind of your process too? Like, do you tap into your energy, go, oh, I love doing this, I want more of this, and I want to give up this?
Absolutely. It's funny because I'm over here giggling because that's exactly it. It's going through, and it's in the book too. It's part of the energy awareness, and it's the daily energy evaluation. What were you doing? What was your energy level? And really identifying those things. And then it's the brain dump and prioritizing what do you do? What do you delegate? What do you delay? And what do you completely get rid of? And so those are some of the tools that I talk about, to get into the alignment and to get into the awareness of your energy, because like I said earlier, sometimes we're just not aware of our energy. And once we are, it's like a big aha for us.
Oh, most definitely. And something else you mentioned earlier, you talked about human design. It's so funny because one of my clients does that for entrepreneurs. But I had mine done probably 16 years ago, and forgot all about it. And then I think it was last April I had mine done, and I pulled it out as you were speaking. I'm like, yeah, I'm a generator, a 3-5 generator. And when she gave the reading, and this is just another tool, right, to understand ourselves. When she gave me the reading, she goes, oh my God, Linda, you were divinely wired for the work you were doing in this world. And there was so much more, as you know, about human design that she shared. That's another tool to understand our energy. So I'm so glad that you brought it up, because I can tell from your excitement when you were sharing your human design that you have found it to be a powerful tool in your own business.
Very powerful tool that I'm bringing forward and I'm really excited about. So, and that's why we clicked. We're both 3/5s.
See that, because as soon as you said it, I'm going, that's me. I'm a 3/5.
Yep.
I love that you're going to be bringing it forward to serve your clients and community, because it is so powerful and it's such a deep dive. There's so much to learn about human design, but just even that hour reading that I've listened to probably a dozen times because of the insights that it provided me. So I think it's such a sacred offering you're going to be bringing forward. So I'm excited for your audience and your community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to invite everyone, before we sign off, please visit Jen at connectandelevate.com. And also, that Facebook group that Jen was sharing is called Connect and Elevate. And you'll see Jen on the page, so you know you have the right group. Please connect with her, stay connected to her, and of course, grab a copy of Intropreneur, Strategies to Build Your Business as an Introverted Entrepreneur. Jen, this conversation could go on for hours. I love having you here. I'm truly grateful that you joined me to share your wisdom about this whole topic, and I can't wait to see everything unfold for you, my friend.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to have had the conversation and be able to have some of the ahas in this very moment. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.